Okay, so let's just talk about it because obviously it's prolonged, right? But before we talk about it, let me ask you a question. When you were younger and you had your favorite toy, you, what were you doing? You was holding on to it, right? You didn't want to share it. Why? Because you loved it so much, right? When you have a favorite outfit or a shirt, and even if it's with your sibling, what? You don't want to share it. If it's your favorite meal, you don't want to share it, right? If it's your boyfriend or your girlfriend or even your best friend, you don't want to share. This spot is taken, right? It's your parent. Why are you acting like this to my parent? That's my parent. I don't want to share, right? So it gets to the point though, like where we say, you know what, I will share, but only if you're that special person. Only if I love you. Only if if you're worth it. And we get to that point of saying, like, for some reason, our mind is so switched in this generation of saying, I can give my body to you. I can give my body to you. I can give my body and share it with the world. But I love it. Now, please don't, not too much on my nails. But I love it. But with everything else, we're so stingy or so like holding on to it. But then when it comes to this value, it's like, I love myself, so I'm going to share it and I'm going to share it. Like, when did we gain more power by giving up what's so valuable? Like, in no other context does that make sense. So, that was just a little whatever to start us, but I really wanted to talk about this. And this is not a message of condemning or judging or saying what people are doing wrong. This is just really a message, because I think when you care about your people, when you care about yourself, yes, this is me talking to myself too, in so many conversations that I've had with God, it becomes this accountability of like, we got to do better. I want to do better, right? And I noticed for myself, I would have so much shame, still sometimes deal with shame based on the decisions that I've made in the past, because there's people out here that are saying it's this Cain and Abel situation. You feel me? Sometimes we want to act like we are just so good, we're the Abel, but sometimes we are the Cain. Sometimes we got that jealousy that we're dealing with, but we don't want to admit it. We always act like, no, because it's this. No, 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 no. It's jealousy. Let's keep it like that. And there would be people on these podcasts and these shows and interviews, and they're talking about how they had the opportunity, not to have the opportunity, but they kept the choice. They held that choice. They made the decision to wait into marriage or to hold themselves for that one person. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to hear that, because at that point, I'm not there, right? Or at that point, I can't make that decision anymore. I can't wait for that first person. I can't go back and, go back to the first time. Like, all these things are gone. So because I was jealous, I became like, I don't want to hear none of that. And, it became like, oh, they got their nose like pointed up towards me, or whatever people say. But like, kind of, oh, they're stuck up. And no, they're not. But they know their worth. And it just made me question about myself. Like, do I not know my worth? Like, why am I making these decisions? And, I just really had to go back to God. I had to go back to God. And, this is just a message, like I said, that I have to constantly remind myself, even though you might have made that mistake before, even though it's too late to have your first time. It's too late not to wait with someone, but to wait until marriage, right? Um, Even though it's not, your value's still there. You're not damaged. You're not less than, right? You still have value, and you need to understand that, because I think sometimes for me, when I thought like, well, it's too late, I lost it, it's done. Well, what good is doing the work now? Because all that hype of, oh, if you lose your virginity, da, 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 if you have sex, da, 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 it's gone. So what's the hype now? Like, what am I going for? But the point is the value. The point is still going back to that first thing that I was saying. You value yourself, So you don't want anybody to have you unless they're that person who values you as much as you value yourself. And we got to work with that, because how do we value ourselves? Like, and it's, I never thought I'd be talking about this stuff, because like I said, I don't really like talking. I would rather be much on the altar and talking about I waited um with my husband, and like I said, maybe it's live if I say I just waited, but if I say I waited with my husband, I am waiting with my husband. So that's not a lie, but I just know that wouldn't be the whole truth. And I know there's one thing about when we don't do it God's way, there are certain things that alter in us. And then we have to bring it back to God so that He can bring restoration. And restoration isn't saying I'm going to go back exactly to how I was before, but restoration is saying that you won't miss out on what was before, because you got something new. You got something that equals out, that mounts up. You're not missing out. And that might not be the actual term definition, but that's the idea. That's what restoration looks like. It might not look like the exact same. So yeah, let's talk about restoration in a relationship that you thought maybe the restoration isn't that, yeah, that relationship didn't work. It didn't come back together, but because you gave it back to God, is coming together now, or there's somebody else that's coming, that everything that you desired and hoped for and prayed for, it's still going to come to pass. And that's restoration. It might not be how we expect it to come, but it's restoration, right? And I don't want to be on here for too long, because that was never the point. That was never the point, right? But the point is, if we give it back to God, okay, we back to recording. If we give it back to God, once again, He can do something great. He can use the mistakes and bring wisdom, or it can help others. So I'm hoping that me speaking on this is helping others. And we want to act so bold in this generation, acting like sleeping around don't affect us, acting as if like when we give ourselves to somebody and it doesn't work out, that it doesn't hurt us. But when you're in bed by yourself, when you're just in your thoughts, it stings. It stings a little, right? So, and maybe it's not talking about what you're doing currently, but I'm just talking about how to even prevent things from happening later, because you're just in a mindset that says, I'm going to value myself. And loving myself doesn't look like sharing myself with everyone and anyone. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Love yourself. And this generation could do better. It's not a message just for women. It's for men. Men, you gotta love yourself too. And I can't tell a man how to be a man, but I do know what a leader needs, and that's discipline and control. And men want to be leaders. Men are supposed to be leaders, the head of the households, but not without discipline and control. And women, I'm not saying that we can't be leaders. Like, I'm saying we can be leaders. Don't get me wrong. But once again, what I'm saying is that this message is not just for women. It's for us. It's for this generation. It's for the ones who thought that they were too far, and that, at this point it just doesn't make a difference. It does. You can turn it back around. You can definitely turn it back around. And I hope that you do. So give it to God. And it hurts sometimes dealing with the things and acknowledging that you're wrong. It makes you a little vulnerable, but do it. It's so worth it. And you deserve what's on the other side of that. Where we are right now, it's not worth it, and you deserve more. And we got to see that too. Once again, I'm going to leave y'all with this. When did gaining or having power ever mean giving up something that was so valuable? Never. Chess, not checkers, baby. Come on.